When you open your eyes in the morning, you are not simply waking into a neutral world. You are stepping into a structure, a system, a web of invisible threads. These threads are woven into your mind, your habits, your identity. And these threads are not designed to make you great. They are designed to make you small. From the moment you were born, society began whispering into your ear. It told you who you are. It gave you a name, a nationality, a religion, a gender. It assigned you a role before you could even speak your first word. And then, as you grew, it taught you what is acceptable, what is respectable, what is normal. But what is normal if not a limitation? What is acceptable if not a cage? The system thrives not when you are free, but when you are obedient. It thrives not when you think for yourself, but when you repeat what has already been told. It thrives not when you expand, but when you shrink to fit into the frame it has prepared for you. That is why this society wants to keep you small, because small individuals are predictable. Small individuals are manageable. Small individuals will not question, will not challenge, will not rise. Look at the world around you. What happens when someone dares to be different? When someone chooses a path that does not fit the standard pattern? They are doubted, criticized, ridiculed. Sometimes they are even punished. The message is clear. Come back to the line. Stay where everyone else is. Society disguises this as concern. It's for your safety, it's for your security, but in reality, it is for your containment. And then, the trap of comfort. You are told, you do not reach too high, do not dream too big. Be satisfied with what you have. Comfort is glorified, but comfort is a silent killer. It numbs you. It makes you settle. It convinces you that the prison cell is a palace, but nothing alive grows in comfort. Growth always requires discomfort. Expansion always requires challenge. To keep you small, society glorifies the easy path but hides from you the truth. The easy path leads to a small life. Another tool society uses: comparison. You are constantly shown images of others, how much they earn, what they wear, where they travel, what they achieve. And so you spend your life chasing shadows, measuring yourself against illusions. While you are busy comparing, you forget your own path. While you are busy competing, you forget to create. And in this forgetting, you stay small. But listen carefully, you are not small. You are made of the same substance as stars. Within you lies a strength that no system can measure, a wisdom that no institution can teach, a fire that no society can extinguish. To reclaim this, you must first see the trap. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. When you see the cage, you realize the door has always been open. Society will try to silence you, but you must speak. It will try to bend you, but you must stand tall. It will try to shrink you, but you must expand beyond every boundary. To live fully is not to be approved by the world. It is to approve yourself. To live freely is not to please others. It is to be in alignment with your own essence. This society wants to keep you small, but you were never born to be small. You were born to be vast. You were born to rise. From the moment you enter this world, conditioning begins. It is not malicious at first. It comes wrapped in the voices of parents, teachers, elders, and authorities who believe they are guiding you. They place labels upon you. Boy, girl, smart, weak, shy, brave. These labels seem innocent, but they begin to form the walls of an invisible container. As a child, you do not resist, because you do not yet know what it means to resist. You accept the labels as truth, and slowly you start to move inside the boundaries created for you. The tragedy is that these boundaries are not your own. They are borrowed, imposed, inherited. This is the beginning of being made small. Conditioning is the most effective tool society has because it is subtle. It does not need to force you with chains or cages. Instead, it implants beliefs in your mind so that you build your own cage willingly. You are told, this is how the world works. This is how the world works. This is who you are. This is all you can do. These statements, repeated enough, become internalized until they no longer sound like society's voice. They sound like your own voice. You begin to believe the limits are real because they come from inside your head. That is the genius of conditioning. You guard the prison without realizing you are both prisoner and guard. As you grow, society reinforces this system through institutions. The school teaches you to memorize, not to question. The workplace teaches you to obey, not to create. So, the culture around you teaches you to conform, not to explore. At every level, the goal is not to help you become limitless. The goal is to make you efficient, predictable, and useful for the machinery of society. In this machinery, your value is measured not by your inner truth, but by how well you serve the external structure. And in order to serve, you must remain small. The conditioning also teaches fear, fear of failing, fear of rejection, fear of judgment. These fears are planted like seeds, and with every passing year, they grow roots in your mind. When you think of trying something bold, fear whispers. What if you fail when you want to follow your unique path? Fear warns, what will others say? Fear becomes the invisible fence around your potential, keeping you inside the territory society has drawn for you. And because everyone around you is trapped in the same conditioning, you begin to believe it is normal. You believe it is simply how life is supposed to be. Even the idea of success is conditioned. You are told what success should look like. The degree, the job, the house, the car, the family, the retirement. But notice, none of these ideas are your own. They are templates handed to you, and if you follow them, society praises you as successful. But inside you may feel empty because you did not follow your truth. You followed a script. Yet you continue because the system has convinced you that to step off the script is to be a failure. This is how conditioning keeps you small, not just in your actions, but in your imagination. The deepest conditioning is the belief that you are limited. Society repeats this in different forms. Be realistic. Don't aim too high. You are only human. But what does it mean to be human? It means to be aware, to be conscious, to be capable of growth beyond any measurement. Yet the system convinces you otherwise, because if you realize your true potential, you no longer fit into the machine. You become unmanageable, unpredictable, free. And nothing threatens the system more than a free human being. One of the strongest forces that keeps individuals small is the fear of nonconformity. From childhood, you are taught that to belong is safety and to be different is danger. The human need for acceptance is powerful, and society knows this. It uses this need to mold you, to press you into shapes that match the collective expectation. You are rewarded when you fit in, praised when you behave, accepted when you follow. And when you step outside of the pattern, you are met with resistance, criticism, ridicule, punishment, or even isolation. This invisible force becomes an unspoken law. Stay within the lines or pay the price. Think of a child in school. The child who speaks too loudly is told to quiet down. The one who questions the rules is labeled as difficult. The one who daydreams is reminded to focus. In these moments, the message is not about discipline, but about conformity. Do not stand out too much. Do not move too far away from the group. Over time, these lessons create a habit inside the mind. You begin to hesitate before expressing your true self. You filter your words, you shrink your actions, you suppress your uniqueness because you have learned that being different comes with consequences. This is how fear of nonconformity is planted early, and it grows with you into adulthood. In society, those who deviate are often met with suspicion. If you live differently, people question your choices. If you think differently, they question your sanity. If you succeed differently, they question your methods. And if you fail while being different, they say, this is why you should have done what everyone else does. Conformity becomes not just a social rule, but a survival strategy. It is safer to hide among the crowd than to risk the spotlight of difference. But safety is not freedom. Safety is the comfort of the cage, not the vastness of the open sky. This fear of non-conformity does not only silence your actions, it silences your thoughts. You begin to police yourself internally, questioning whether your ideas are too strange, too radical, too risky. Before anyone else rejects you, you reject yourself. Before society says no, you have already whispered a Noah within. This is how the fear becomes powerful, not because others stop you, but because you stop yourself before you even begin. And when you do this long enough, you forget that you ever had another option. You forget that you were meant to create your own path, not just follow the one carved by others. Observe how society celebrates the myth of individuality, yet punishes the practice of it. You are told, be yourself, express yourself, follow your dreams. But when you actually attempt it, you are confronted with subtle resistance. That is unrealistic. That is not practical. That is not how things are done. The contradiction is clear. You are encouraged to be unique, but only within the boundaries of what society finds acceptable. This is not freedom. This is controlled uniqueness, a performance of individuality that does not threaten the collective order. The moment your difference becomes too real, too raw, too independent, you are pushed back into place. And so people live small lives, not because they lack potential, but because they fear the judgment that comes with being truly themselves. They avoid risks, not because risks are impossible, but because they dread the whispers, the raised eyebrows, the silent disapproval. They live in imitation because originality feels dangerous. Yet, what is more dangerous, to conform and die without ever knowing your true self, or to step outside the circle and finally breathe as who you are? This is the unspoken question that fear of nonconformity tries to bury deep inside you. And as long as this fear governs your decisions, society does not need to limit you, because you will limit yourself. Comfort appears harmless. It feels warm, it feels safe, it feels familiar. It tells you, stay here, do not move, do not change, everything is fine as it is. And because the human mind craves stability, because the body craves ease, you accept comfort as a friend. But hidden behind this softness is the sharpest chain. Comfort is not freedom. It is the illusion of freedom. It gives you a sense of control while quietly removing the possibility of growth. It convinces you that stillness is peace, when in reality it is stagnation. From a young age, society teaches you to choose the comfortable path. You are told to pursue the secure job, the stable income, the predictable routine. You are warned against risks, against challenges, against venturing into the unknown. The message is subtle. Why struggle when you can settle? Why explore when you can relax? But life itself is not designed for endless ease. Life is movement, transformation, expansion. Trees push through the soil, rivers carve through stone, fire consumes and renews. Nothing in nature grows by choosing comfort, yet society convinces you that the good life is the one where discomfort is minimized at all costs. Comfort becomes the modern form of imprisonment. It is not enforced by walls or guards, but by habits. You fall into the rhythm of repetition. The same job, the same conversations, the same environment, the same thoughts. Each repetition makes the walls higher until you cannot imagine a different reality. Comfort keeps you from asking questions, disturb the order. Comfort keeps you from exploring because exploration requires energy. Comfort keeps you from transforming because transformation requires sacrifice. Slowly, without realizing it, you trade possibility for predictability, and you begin to believe that predictability is the same as safety. The most dangerous aspect of comfort is that it feels rewarding in the moment. Resting instead of training feels good. Staying in a secure routine instead of risking the unknown feels good. Avoiding conflict instead of speaking your truth feels good. The immediate relief disguises the long-term cost. Day by day, comfort weakens your resilience. Day by day, it dulls your inner fire. Day by day, it steals the sharpness of your mind and the strength of your spirit. And because this erosion is slow, you do not notice until one day you realize that years have passed and you have not truly lived, only existed. Society glorifies this illusion of comfort by celebrating material accumulation and external stability. You are told, when you have the right possessions, when you reach the right status, when you secure the right lifestyle, then you will be at peace. But peace is not born from possessions, and security is not born from external conditions. Peace is the ability to be present with yourself in any condition, and security is the trust in your own capacity to adapt and overcome. Yet society distracts you from this truth because if you were to find inner peace and inner strength, the illusion of comfort would lose its power over you. The paradox is that true comfort can only be found by walking through discomfort. Muscles grow when they are stretched and torn. Wisdom grows when you face uncertainty and make mistakes. Confidence grows when you act despite fear. The illusion of comfort tells you to avoid these experiences, but by avoiding them, you remain fragile. By avoiding discomfort, you avoid your own expansion. This is why society praises comfort, because it produces individuals who do not question, who do not challenge, who do not rise. Individuals who are content with small lives, unaware that vastness was always within reach. Comparison is one of the most effective tools society uses to keep you small because it turns your attention outward instead of inward. From the earliest years, you are placed in classrooms where your value is measured against the performance of others. You are told who is the top student, who is average, who is below. This ranking begins to create a lens through which you view yourself, not as you truly are, but in contrast to those around you. It does not matter if you understand deeply, it only matters how you score relative to another. From this moment, the seed of comparison is planted, and with time, it grows into a pattern that dominates your thoughts and your choices. As you move through life, comparison intensifies. You begin to measure your worth by external markers. Who earns more, who owns more, who looks better, who has achieved milestones faster. Social structures encourage this game by constantly highlighting winners and losers, by placing people on pedestals while leaving others in the shadows. The system thrives on competition because individuals who are trapped in comparison are too distracted to question the system itself. You focus on outrunning your neighbor while forgetting that the track you are running on was designed to keep you going in circles. Comparison robs you of presence. Instead of seeing your own progress, you only see where you stand on a ladder that never ends. If you are ahead of some, you feel pride that quickly turns into fear of losing your position. If you are behind others, you feel envy or shame that drains your energy. In both cases, your peace is stolen because your sense of self is tied to something external, unstable, and fleeting. You forget that each person has a unique path, a unique rhythm, a unique purpose. Instead, you force yourself into a race that was never meant to be yours. This trap becomes even deeper in the modern world where images and stories of others are broadcast endlessly. You see curated versions of lives, carefully polished to appear perfect. You compare your unedited struggles to their edited highlights, and you conclude that you are not enough. The mind begins to whisper lies. They are happier than you. They are more successful than you. They are living better than you. These whispers grow louder until you no longer see your own achievements, your own growth, your own uniqueness. Comparison blinds you to your own light, convincing you that only the light of others matters. The trap of comparison also distorts your motivation. Instead of pursuing what truly matters to you, you chase goals that are validated by others. You study not because you love learning, but because you want to outshine. You work not because you value your craft, but because you want a higher title than someone else. You consume not because you need, but because you want to display. In this way, comparison turns your life into performance, where every action is measured against an audience instead of being aligned with your inner core. And when your actions are disconnected from your essence, no achievement can satisfy you, because it was never yours to begin with. What makes this trap powerful is that it feeds itself endlessly. Even when you reach a certain level, there will always be someone higher, richer, stronger, more skilled. The ladder has no top, and so you climb endlessly, never arriving, never resting, never feeling complete. This is how society keeps you small, not by making you fail, but by making you feel that success is always somewhere beyond your reach. As long as you are chasing someone else's shadow, you never discover the vastness of your own light. Breaking the chains begins with awareness. You cannot free yourself from something you cannot see. The invisible forces of conditioning, conformity, comfort, and comparison work so effectively because they operate silently within the mind. They disguise themselves as truth, as common sense, as normal life. To break free, you must first recognize that these are not truths but programs, not laws but agreements, not reality but constructs. The moment you see the bars of the cage, the illusion begins to lose its power. This is the first step, because freedom is impossible without recognition. Awareness alone, however, is not enough. Once you see the chains, you must be willing to question them. Question the labels you were given. Question the rules you were taught. Question the voices that echo in your mind saying, you cannot or you should not. When you ask these questions, you will begin to discover that most of what you carry is not yours. It was handed down by others, repeated by society, enforced by fear. Breaking the chains means daring to let go of what was never truly part of you. The process of breaking free is not comfortable. It requires courage to walk away from conformity, because conformity offers safety. It requires strength to step into discomfort, because comfort offers relief. It requires trust to stop comparing, because comparison offers direction, even if false. To break the chains means to step into a space where the ground is not familiar, where you cannot always predict the outcome, where you must rely on your own inner compass rather than external validation. This is why so many remain bound. The chains feel heavy, but the unknown feels heavier. Yet freedom can only be found in the unknown. Breaking the chains also means reclaiming your power. As long as you believe that society, family, or circumstance dictate your destiny, you remain small. The truth is that no external force can fully control you unless you hand over your inner authority. Every time you obey a fear instead of your calling, you give away power. Every time you choose safety over truth, you give away power. Every time you measure yourself by another's standards, you give away power. Reclaiming it begins with small acts of authenticity, speaking when you would normally remain silent, acting when you would normally hesitate, choosing when you would normally conform. Each act, however small, weakens the chains. There is also a deeper layer to breaking free. The recognition that you do not need approval to exist fully. Much of society's hold over you comes from the desire to be liked, accepted, praised. But the truth is that you do not need the world's approval because your existence itself is already valid. You were not born to fit someone else's mold. You were born to expand into the fullness of your being. When you stop chasing approval, you discover freedom that cannot be touched by opinion, and in that freedom, the chains dissolve. Breaking the chains is not a single event, but a continuous practice. Every day you are faced with choices, conformity or authenticity, comfort or growth, comparison or creation. Every day you either strengthen the chains or loosen them. This is why awareness must be constant, courage must be renewed, and trust in yourself must deepen. The more you practice, the lighter the chains become, until one day you realize they were never locked. They were only illusions held in place by your belief. When the belief falls, the chains fall with it, and what remains is the vastness of who you truly are. This society is built upon subtle systems designed to keep you small, conditioning your mind, pressuring you to conform, luring you into comfort, and distracting you with comparison. Each mechanism works quietly, shaping the way you think, act, and dream until you begin to accept limitation as natural and mediocrity as destiny. But the truth is that none of these chains are permanent. They exist only as long as you agree to wear them. The key has always been within you. The power to question, the courage to resist, the willingness to step into discomfort, and the clarity to walk your own path. To break free is not to rebel against society with anger, but to rise above it with awareness. It is to live authentically in a world that demands imitation, to seek growth in a culture that glorifies ease, and to honor your uniqueness in a system that thrives on comparison. The path will not be simple, but freedom never is. You were not born to remain small, hidden, or silent. You were born to expand, to create, to rise. The cage is open, the chains are an illusion. Now it is for you to step beyond them.